So remember this foam board? I used this for a previous setup. I'm going to recycle it and I'm going to cover it with this vinyl peel and stick wallpaper. And voila, I have a faux steel backdrop. So I purchased 2 of these installation kits. They each come with 6 pieces of styrofoam board. And I took one of the pieces and I cut it in half with an X-Acto knife. And I'm going to use this to create some stability for my backdrop. So I took 4 of the styrofoam panels and I hot glued them together. And now I'm going to use my 2 pieces and I'm going to make somewhat of a cross. And I'm doing that so that all of the panels can be stuck together on one board. And that will create stability to where the board will stand up on its own. So I'm going to use both hot glue and duct tape to do this. It looks very messy from the back, but it's stable. Now, if you like to, you can use another foam board like the one that I used for the first panel. I just couldn't find the thickness that I needed in that bigger foam board. So what I did was I drew this diagonal line here and I used an X-Acto knife to cut off that excess piece of foam board so I can make the design for my panel. So I was going with a sleek slanted design at the top. And then I added some checkered wallpaper to complete this look. So here's how the bones of the setup looks before I started putting the balloons on. As you can see, I made a smaller slanted panel on the right side and the slant is going in the opposite direction as the bigger panel. I used some black peel and stick vinyl and then I used some white duct tape to make the road lines. So the middle large silver backdrop panel I attached to one of my sheer wall frames. You can see the sheer wall poking up at the top. That's a 7-foot sheer wall frame. You can attach that with duct tape or with Velcro. And I also use Velcro to attach the side panels, the checkered panel and the road panel, to the silver panel. So I put one piece of Velcro on the checkered panel, the other piece on the silver panel, and that's how I attach my panels onto the silver larger panel. And then I purchased this self-standing grid panel backdrop from Amazon. And then I used fishing line to attach my neon number 6 to that grid panel. Make sure that you tie that fishing line knot about 4 or 5 times because it is fine and it will slip out. This is a Monster Jam themed sign that I made and I used glue dashes to attach it to the silver panel. And I purchased these large monster truck cutouts from Etsy and used some duct tape to attach it to my pedestal. So now for the balloon garland, I used 3 sizes, 5-inch, 11-inch, and 18-inch, and 4 different colors. Sempertex brand, fashion red, fashion yellow, fashion black, and fashion white. I blew up my balloons 2 at a time and tied them into dupes. Then I made clusters of 3 dupes. I had 1 dupe with only 11-inch balloons, 1 dupe with 1 11-inch balloon and 1 18-inch balloon, and 1 dupe with 2 18-inch balloons. Notice that I am underinflating these balloons. So here's how I'm just twisting these 3 dupes together, and make sure you double twist to make your clusters. So normally whenever I make my balloon garlands, I'll start by connecting all of my clusters together into my balloon garland base. And so that's the bones of my balloon garland. Then I will attach it to the backdrop and then I'll add on extra clusters to fill it up. But today I'm going to piece my clusters together on the backdrop. So I'm going to do it piece by piece. Sorry if I see blurriness here. I think because of the lighting's not great. It's later on in the evening, so it's not that great. So here's a backdrop clip. This is about 4 to 4.5 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take a 260 Q balloon. These are the long stretchy balloons that you make animals out of. I'm going to put it through the mouth of the clip, and then I'm just going to tie the ends of the 260 together. Make sure it's nice and tight so it's like a rubber band. And then I'm going to open up the mouth, do a twist, and put it right back through so it's nice and secure on the clip. So then I'm going to do the clip, and I'm going to place it on my backdrop where I want to start my balloon garland. Okay? And the side that has the 260 is going to be facing me to make this easier. And then I'm going to start with whatever my first color is. Whatever color you want, that's up to you. I'm starting with black. And now I'm just going to take the 260 and wrap it around at least 1 to 2 balloons in the cluster. Make sure it's on there nice and tight. Okay. So now I'm going to attach more clusters using the same method. I'm just going to tie 2 ends of the 260 balloon together to make a rubber band. Wrap it around at least a couple balloons in that original cluster. I'm going to wrap it around the 11-inch balloons because it's easier. And then I'm going to take another cluster of balloons. I'm trying to decide the order of my pattern. And I'm going to wrap that same 260 around a couple balloons in that cluster. You want to wrap it around at least 2 balloons, and the 11-inch balloons are best because more balloons fit in there. So I want to create some more stability. So right now I could use a backdrop clip, but since I have this bar right here, I can actually just take a 260 and connect it directly to this the pole, and then wrap it around this yellow cluster to keep it on nice and secure. So I'm going to do that instead of using another clip. But if it was something like you were trying to attach it to this, you would need another clip, or you can use some duct tape because this is foam board. You can use some duct tape, do H method from behind, put the 260 in, and then wrap it around. So as I'm attaching the balloons onto the sheer wall frame, I'm realizing that I used a frame that's too tall. Remember, that is 7 feet tall, and my board is only about 6.5 feet. So I should have used one of my 6-foot frames to do that so that you don't see the frame peeking out over the top of my panel. So my suggestion would be to use a backing that is actually shorter than your foam board panels to keep your foam board panel secure. That way you don't see the backing on top, because it's making my balloons sit kind of high, and I didn't want them sitting that high. I want them just peeking from behind the panels so you can see the shape of the panels and the balloons at the same time. However, I'm going to make this work. So as you can see, I'm just still adding on more clusters with that 260 method, and I'm just adding it to the back so you can just see the balloons peeping out from the back of that grid. And now I'm just moving some of the balloons to the back of that side panel so you can see that nice slanted shape. Then I'm going to rearrange the balloons at the top and twist in a couple more dupes so you do not see the sheer wall frame. Okay. So I wanted to put the balloons in the back, like push them towards the back at the top. So you kept seeing this. So I'm going to take this off and use this for the side balloon on the balloons on the bottom. I decided to use the H method. So I put a piece of duct tape across a 260, then 2 pieces across that duct tape to make an H. Then I tied this, and then I'm just going to put a balloon through here, and that's how I'm going to keep the balloons behind. So if you want to push the balloons back behind your backdrop, then you can use the H method behind the backdrop. If you don't mind the balloons being on the side, then use the clips. So if you see that top left-hand side, I'm going to take that clip from there, and I'm going to use that clip to attach those balloons right there on the bottom side. I'm going to show you real quick how I made my 5-inch clusters. I took a manual pump and did 2 pumps to my 5-inch balloons, tied them together into dupes, and then I'm going to twist 2 dupes together to make a cluster of 4 5-inch decorators. And then I'm going to tie one end of a 260 to the cluster, and then wrap that other end of the 260 around a couple balloons in the pre-existing balloon garland. Then I'm going to tie that 260 into itself, and that's how I'm attaching my 5-inch decorators. So now I'm going to make a really quick balloon garland to attach to this cloth backdrop that I have for the dessert and cake table. So I'm going to double tie the ends of a 260Q to make like a rubber band. Then I'm going to wrap that 260 around a couple balloons in one cluster. And then I'm going to take another cluster and wrap that same 260 around a couple more balloons. Then I'm going to repeat this method over and make another 260 rubber band. Now, as I always mention, the reason why I prefer 260s over rubber bands is because the 260s are more flexible. You can add more balloons in there. They're not as tight as our actual rubber band. So this balloon garland is going to have 5 clusters, and each cluster has 6 balloons. So now I'm going to attach this balloon garland to my cloth backdrop. I'm using my backdrop clips. And so I'm just going to slide a 260 in the mouth of that clip and double tie the ends to make that rubber band again. I'm going to wrap it around one of the balloons in the balloon garland. I'm going to do that for all 3 clips. Then once I'm done attaching my balloon garland, I'm going to adjust that backdrop stand. So you see the knob right there on that left hand side. You can just twist that and adjust the height and make it taller. And then I'm going to duct tape the sides of that cloth backdrop to the poles to make sure it's on there nice and secure. Now, before I show you the finished product to my decor, I'm going to show you how I attached these foil balloons to my decor, because these can be very tricky. A lot of people have questions on how you attach them. Sometimes I use glue dashes, but this time I'm going to use the H method, especially since this is outdoors. So I'm going to take a 260 and I'm going to attach the 260 to the foil balloon with 2 pieces of tape going horizontally. And then I'm going to cut 2 more pieces of tape, and I'm going to make an H design by attaching those 2 pieces of tape on the opposite side of the other tape vertically. So that should keep that 260 nice and secure onto that balloon. And then I can just wrap the ends of that 260 around one of the balloons in the balloon garland to make sure that it's on there nice and secure. So here's the finished product to Kai's Hot Wheels / Monster Jam theme 6th birthday party decor. I did add some balloon shine because I made the balloons the night before and they lost some of their shininess. I also added some uplighting for more drama and effect. I attached that grid panel to one of my backdrop stand poles using zip ties. I attached that lone balloon garland to my patio using fishing line. And remember, I used the H method to attach the foil balloons to the balloon garland. The fringe decorations hanging up were made out of plastic tablecloth, fishing line, and tape. And of course, the best part of doing all this is seeing the smile on Kai's face. And he had the best time as we celebrated his 6th birthday. So please check the description box below this video for more information on the materials that I used for this setup. So if you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, go ahead on and like it, and please subscribe, and you'll get notifications on future videos on balloon and event decor. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.